myself.
Oh my gosh, it's over.
Windy City Assassin does it again. Give me the hot sauce. Give me the hot sauce, Bob.
We are fired up for episode 36 of Give Me the Hot Sauce. So we start this show with a warning. We don't normally record this show on Friday afternoon, which in other words is happy hour. We have started happy hour here at the Hustle and Flow Studios. Our guy Timmy Whispers ran out to get some refreshments. He comes back with Fritos, Stacey. Who the hell eats Fritos?
Okay. Let me tell you something.
Great.
I haven't seen someone eat Fritos since the first grade. When I was in the first grade and your mom made lunch, and then you
little bag of Fritos.
And so when you go to lunch with all the kids, you try to trade. Yeah. Like, I'll give you some ding dongs for this. Nobody was trading for Fritos.
Nobody's taking
Nobody
Fritos.
wanted Fritos. So to see Timmy Whispers bring Fritos back, America, I just wish you could. I looked across the table and I'm like, what the hell is that? Fritos?
Hey, it's just corn chips cut into ribbons. They're crunchy and delicious.
I'm sticking.
He's looking for a sponsor. He's hunting for a sponsor.
No, Fritos, in my opinion, Fritos is only good in like Frito pie.
What?
Yeah, Frito pie, where you put the
Who the hell eats
beef
Frito pie?
in a soccer game.
Susie's talking about walking down the street with a bag of Fritos with beef in it.
I don't see you reaching over here. I don't see you reaching over here for some Fritos, Southside. You over there talking about how you love Fritos. I didn't see you not one time reach over to get this bag, and it's a big bag too. It's not like the little.
She's
baby
gonna go
bag.
over to the kitchen and rustle up some beef.
Oh yeah. And who eats some regular Doritos? Let me see.
It smell like feet, Stacey.
Oh
Here
my
we go.
God, they smell like feet.
America. Okay, if these are not Cool Ranch, okay, these are the regular Doritos. This is like when you open a bag and you got a house full of people, the first thing you say is, whose feet smells like this? Somebody's feet stinks. It's because they're eating Doritos, America. Look, who eats these? No one eats these anymore. Do they even sell these? Where'd you get these at? The dollar store?
It's a very limited store. I went to.
That's what I'm
looking for
saying.
popcorn.
Sit your butt down, Southside.
Hey, all I know is you were late. This poor guy, abused for 30 years. He goes to me, hey, I'm going to go out and get snacks for Stacey. I'm going to get him a special concoction. I'm going to get him some drinks.
America.
And
He forgot my popcorn.
America.
Stacey's got popcorn.
I got Garrett's. Look
Yeah,
here.
but Stacey doesn't share.
This is the best right here. Garrett's popcorn. Oh my goodness. Garrett, if you're listening,
you named a child after him. It's so
I got
good.
a son named Garrett. I love your popcorn. We don't turn nothing down but our collar. So we would really, really like some of your popcorn. The cheese popcorn is the best. I got the caramel right now. It's nice.
He doesn't share.
The cheese. Well, you didn't. Hey, listen, I don't know where your hands have been. So you're not gonna dig in my can.
We're in a pandemic.
We're in a pandemic. You need to get some rubber gloves, or I'll pour you some. But I don't know where your hands have been. You've been touching John, Captain America, with his little Captain America shirt. He's the black Captain America. He's the dark Captain America. He's the dark side. He's got a black shirt on with a black flag.
Mix it with Fritos.
Yes. You know what, man? I'm telling you, put those Cheetos, those Fritos away. Nobody eats those. In America, if you eat these Fritos, come on YouTube, leave a message and tell me that you love Fritos and you would eat them all the time, because I just don't believe anyone eats plain Fritos anymore.
Nobody does anymore. That's for little kids' lunches.
For little kids' lunches.
Yes,
first grade.
Yeah,
first grade.
So good.
Hey Tim. I'll trade you some ding dongs. What do you got? I got Fritos. Oh, that's okay. I'll just eat my ding dongs. I'll try next week.
That's a pretty good segment.
What?
Kids snacks. What were your snacks?
We'll get to it at some point this summer.
Right. I mean, that's a good one.
Basketball season's almost over. We got a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about.
Hey, you know another potential sponsor, that the new company Obvious Shirts, that's really catching on big with baseball player wears a sign on his shirt says baseball player. We get one for Whispers saying abused for 30 years.
It's getting printed now.
America, this guy swears he's been abused for 30 years. Okay. I've known this guy for 30 years and there has not been abuse. Okay. I love this man like a stepbrother. Okay. Like the brother
like
we never
John
talk
C.
about.
Riley?
Yeah. The brother we never talk about. The brother never comes, you don't ever see him. He's in the basement tied up. That's how much love I have.
Just don't rub your balls on my drum set.
Wow. Okay. Once again, Whispers, where it's a little bit too close.
Definitely don't share your popcorn.
But
yeah, definitely not with him.
Friday.
They're so close that Stacey has to invite himself over.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just mad because you didn't get invited.
We're still waiting for that. Give me the hot sauce.
And I'm over there pulling for you guys to invite you over.
Yeah.
And he keeps stalling. Like I'm like, hey man, can I get those ribs this weekend? Let me call you back. And I never hear back from him. And then we're back here at the next show. It's been a whole week, and he says, "Hey, you want those ribs?" Like,
did you see him on Instagram?
Wow. You're on Instagram? You know how to work Instagram?
Yeah, boy. Oh, boy.
So if you're listening to this podcast and you have access to YouTube, switch over because you're going to want to watch.
Yes.
There's all kinds of fun going to be going down over the next 90 minutes or so. And speaking of abuse, Mike Budenholzer and the Bucks really got abused in the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. Poor coaching strategy, poor execution, and Chris Middleton on a milk carton. I guess that pretty much sums it up, Stacey.
Well, this is no time for disappearance.
No.
You get to the finals, it's one shot, your opportunity. You may not ever get to this pinnacle again. It's not easy to get here. And they've had a long journey the last 3 or 4 years.
Whispers, chew away from the microphone, all right?
I want you to know I'm having Fritos.
Wow, man.
He's smacking.
He's crunching
Yeah.
right. Stacey's making a good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
You're
now I
crunching
done lost
away.
all train of thought because he's chewing on those nasty
I thought it
Fritos.
was static. I'm like, gee, who's got this feedback? I'm over here on the board.
You can turn your head and chew.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this was intentional.
Oh, it's
He
intentional.
doesn't say anything, but
No.
he shoots.
Yeah, that's the only time we hear him is when he's chewing on nasty
Oh,
Fritos.
he's heavy breathing.
Well, no, when he opens the Doritos stuff.
Frito-Lay people, listen, we're not slamming Fritos, So if you want to throw some Cool Ranch Doritos our way, sponsorship, we don't turn nothing down but our college. We do love Fritos. We do. I eat them every night.
Great on chili.
Great on chili. They're just awesome. I mean, I even eat them by themselves.
Wow.
He's lying.
That was like Mike Budenholzer trying to defend the pick and roll.
Exactly. Back to our point. Oh, Jesus. This guy here. This guy's throwing music in, man. Back to our point, Mark.
Yeah.
I was so mad last night. So mad. Upset about how everything went down and the defense. And I mean, listen, Milwaukee's going to look back on this, and that was the game they should have got.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you take away the second quarter, they got outscored 30-16. Pretty much every other quarter, they jumped off to a good first quarter. They started off good, but that second quarter, I mean, getting blown out 30-16, that was the difference in the ball game. Also, their inability to get loose balls, 50-50 balls. They looked like they were tired. They looked like they were an old team, and they just could not get to loose balls. Phoenix out-hustled them to a lot of loose balls, and, you know, that was a difference in the ball game. And the continued switching defense late in games. You know, the lineup that I like, that I hope they go back to, you can't play it all night long, but you can play it in huge stretches, is when you put Holiday at the 1, Pat Connaughton as the 2 guard, Middleton as your small forward, PJ Brown, if you want to go that route to match up with
Tucker. Yeah.
not PJ Brown, PJ Tucker to match up with, you know, Jay Crowder, and then you throw Giannis at the 5. That way, when you switch, everyone can switch into denial, and you have no open shooters, because, you know, if you're not going to utilize Brook Lopez in a post, what is he out there for? Because they're taking advantage of him in the pick and roll on the offensive end. So when they come back on the offensive end, they've got to punish the smaller Suns because they have no depth. Sarge is out. They have no quality depth behind Ayton if he gets in foul trouble. So that should be your main priority, to get him in foul trouble, make them play small, and take advantage of their lineups.
It started at game 2. Giannis looked like Shaq out there. He was just backing people down, dunking on top of everybody. Bucks got up 21-12, but then, you know, Giannis is still coming back from that knee injury. He got a little fatigued. He had to go to the bench. When they went to the bench, they got nothing, and they were so slow in their rotations trying to close out on three-point shooters. Devin Booker killed him over and over again. Phoenix shot 20 for 40 from the three-point line, which is crazy good for the finals.
Well, again, they're getting wide open shots. I mean, when you see guys like Booker and Paul should never be open.
Right.
Those are the 2 guys you never leave. Even if they're not even in the play, you have to stay connected to those 2 guys because they can kill you. But it's guys like Crowder who are getting wide open. Bridges killed you last night. You know, guys that you're not respecting as NBA players, basically. Those guys are killing you. You know, Crowder went to the finals last year with Miami. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a tough, hard-nosed player. He can knock down spot-up threes. And Phoenix does a great job offensively of really opening the floor. You know, and when they run those pick and rolls with Ayton, the difference between Ayton in this series and then a guy like Capella in the Atlanta series for Milwaukee is because Capella is just a dive guy. He's a guy that fumbled a lot of balls. He doesn't have really good hands, and they didn't really punish Milwaukee on those dive cuts, and he misses easy stuff around the basket. The difference in this series is Ayton can score. Ayton can score anywhere on the floor. He can pick and pop. He can pick and dive. He can post up. He's good with either hand. And when he rolls to the basket, he's not fumbling the ball. He's going up strong, and he's playing like a 7-footer, and he's playing with tremendous confidence in this series. And really, he's their third option, and he really, really gets them going.
Everybody's talking about the fact that the Bucks have played poorly in a lot of areas. Their pick and roll defense, both Middleton and Holiday haven't shot the ball well, but I think we're kind of short selling the Phoenix Suns. That's a damn good team. When you consider they hadn't made the playoffs since 2010, they'd been similar to the Bulls. They've been floundering in the lottery, just hoping for some good luck. They made some really good picks, but they're playing great. I mean, Milwaukee at the start of that game yesterday, Chris Paul killed them in game 1. So they said, Chris Paul's not going to beat us in this game. They tried to send help for Chris Paul, dished it off in the corner. Mikal Bridges is hitting threes. Crowder's hitting threes. It seems like they have an answer for everything that the Bucks are trying.
Well, and one of the things that is killing Milwaukee is when they drive baseline and they take the baseline, Milwaukee is funneling all the defensive players going to the guy on the baseline, and they're losing sight of the shooters. And so what Phoenix is doing, anytime someone drives to the baseline, automatically the guy on the opposite side slides to the corner to give an outlet pass to a wide open shooter. And that's when the Crowder's hitting. That's a Booker hitting that shot. And it's killing Milwaukee because all 4 guys are rotating to the dive guy. You have to stay connected to shooters. You don't need all 4 guys to collapse in the paint and try to stop a dribble penetration, especially when a guy's not even trying to score. He's looking to make that pass.
Yeah, remember, they were 8-0 in the bubble last year, and a lot of people thought they could have probably taken down the Lakers. Nobody wanted to play them. And yet last night's game, they've had 10 passes in 24 seconds. The spacing has been unbelievable, to his point.
And like Stacey said, they stick to their principles. Guys are where they're supposed to be. You've seen a number of situations where it looked like the point guard, whether it was Chris Paul or even Cameron Payne, would get cut off underneath the basket, and you're thinking he's going to throw that away, and he knew exactly where the shooter was.
Exactly, and it's the same. It's the same play every single time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who drives baseline. It could be Bridges. It could be it could be Chris Paul, Booker. They're looking for that corner pass. They're not trying to score. They know they're not going to score because there's no way they can score with 4 guys in there. So they're looking to throw that little pass to the baseline guy. And the one thing I like about Phoenix is that the ball doesn't stick. Even if that guy in the corner has a wide open shot and they rotate out there quick, because they started to rotate in the second half out to that guy, they made that extra pass to where the guy left to go help. They went right back to the guy who's wide open.
And it was Booker a lot of times,
exactly.
Which you never leave.
Exactly. You cannot, if you're Milwaukee, and I'm going to continue to say this, there's 2 guys on the floor you cannot leave. You have to stay connected to them. You cannot worry about helping people out. You can only help if they're in your area. If someone's driving towards you and you're at the top of the circle, you might be able to slide 1 step down and close the drive off, make him pick up his dribble, then close back out to the shooter. But to full out sell out and try to double team like a guy like Jay Crowder dribbling. Why are you doubling Jay Crowder?
Right.
He's not going to beat you off the dribble, but you're overcommitting to things and it's leaving wide open shooters.
What I was just going to say, when you look at this game too, every number favors the Bucks except for the shooting, the 3-point shooting, points in the paint, fast break points, offensive rebounds. I know there was some 50-50 balls that we talked about, but I mean, to me, the problem has been this 3-point shooting, this willingness to stay with that. Like instead of having Brook Lopez punish the opponent in the paint. I mean, they had 8 games so far in the playoffs, so they shot less than 30%. They're not going to be able to do that against the Suns.
Well, in today's game, the 3-point shot is the great equalizer. And what was it yesterday? 20-9. I'm not great at math, but that's 33 points difference.
Right. That makes up for all the other things. For all the other.
Well, and I said this, we were talking about this before we came on the show.
And that was a great discussion. We should have recorded
that. So we might not ever get that good again. But if you're going to play Brook Lopez, number one, and they're going to expose him on the defensive end, you have to expose Phoenix on the offensive end. You have to put him in the paint. You got to say, okay, they're going to double you because Aiden can't guard you one-on-one.
And get him in foul trouble.
Get him in foul trouble because they have no one coming off the bench with size. So you get Aiden out the game. That's one element out the game that's been killing you. He's gone now. Okay. Now you force double teams. People are coming down, doubling Brook Lopez. Now your shooters are wide open. Boom, boom, boom. You knock some shots down.
Yeah.
Hey, we should say something about the 2-time MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who scored 42 points, including 20 in the third quarter. That hadn't been done since Michael Jordan, I think, back in 1993, scoring 20 points in a quarter. Susie was impressed.
It takes a lot to impress her. Oh, man. Wow. John still hasn't impressed her. Oh, I'm performing on Saturday night at Zany's.
By the way, this is the shirt, the South Side. You can't see it, but this is the shirt that I purchased for her.
This was my 25th wedding.
No.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah, oh, look at it. He's like,
Wow.
that's not true.
Well, we'll see.
You should at least let her show the shirt.
Yeah,
I mean,
show the shirt. Yeah, you mentioned the shirt.
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is.
Southside.
Yeah, she's representing.
Very
That
nice.
was the only gift that she got
Nah, it's not true.
for her wedding anniversary.
I do want to mention that our guest, Mark Price, is in the Sriracha waiting room.
Oh.
He's
Okay.
listening. He's in the room.
The greatest
He's like, why did I
shooter
agree to go on
in
this show?
Oklahoma high school basketball
I'm out.
history.
He will be on our site. I just want you guys to know that he's here because we were talking about 3-point shooting. I'd love to get his take, but that's for the second segment.
He would kill in this league now.
Just a little memo.
Yeah, Mark
so-
Price
He would
coming up
kill
in
in
just
this
a
league.
couple of minutes. But we're talking about Giannis, and when you consider that injury just 8 days ago or 10 days ago now looked like that might be he's gone for a year. He even said it when it happened. He thought, "Oh, I'm out for a year," and he comes back in a week. He was good in game 1. He was spectacular in game 2.
That's some Michael Jordan stuff. Seriously. Like, I mean, as far as getting injured and people think you're going to be out longer than you are, and he always he bounces back. The recovery is like, there's no way in the world I thought he was coming back. There's no way in the world. I even said it last show. I'd be surprised to see him out there.
Where that knee bent.
But you can tell though, he's not the Giannis that he was before injury. You can tell, even though he played, and I think his adrenaline is carrying him because he wants to win so bad. And I think he's just playing like at a higher level because he's an MVP caliber guy. But you can tell that some of the moves around the basket where he would be dunking on people. And I get so nervous when he's going to the basket and he gets that Euro step and he steps with that bad knee. I get so like, I cringe every time he does that. And I'm just like praying, like, come on, man, just get through this game.
He
don't
came
get
up
hurt.
gimpy a couple of times, but it never slowed him down.
Yeah, and I just heard a Michael Jordan record, so I'm going, hey.
What the hell are you talking
Lay
about?
out, Giannis.
Did she eat some Fritos? She just happened to
No,
just
she
jump
actually
in.
had a beer.
Oh, no wonder why she's talking. No wonder why she's talking.
Thank God it's Friday.
It's Friday.
Yeah,
That's
happy hour.
outside.
It's happy hour.
Woo!
Danny the Hot Sauce.
I don't want to rain on the happy hour, but I'm sorry. 42 points in 40 minutes. I think the only thing he shouldn't maybe limited was the 3-point once again, 1 for 5.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think
it's hard to criticize
else,
him after 42.
Listen,
right? But I'm
it
just
is
saying,
hard to criticize him.
I mean, he was running over guys. I'm sorry. I mean,
listen, we're all armchair point guards when it comes down to it. Okay. My take on Giannis is that when that lineup I said going small would take his game to another level, take the shooter's game to another level, because you play him at the 5, PJ Tucker shooter at the 4, Middleton shooter at the 3, Connaughton shooter at the 2, and then you got Drew Holiday also that can break down the defense and drive. It opens up so much for him to be inside, to be able to dive, to set screens and rolls. How many screen rolls have we seen him with a 1-3, a 1-4 screen roll, a 2-4 screen roll? There is none of that. He's not doing any of that. He's getting a lot of his stuff getting off the glass, and he's starting to break and initiating the offense, and he's trying to go coast to coast. I'd like to see him be more efficient scoring wise. So he had to really work to get 42. Like, seriously, they're playing defense on him like they've been playing defense on him.
Well, Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder is the Giannis.
Go back to the years where Milwaukee couldn't advance, where they packed the lane in and said, listen, you're not going to drive on us. And Phoenix is doing that to him, and he's scoring, but he's having a hard time, especially not being
it's wearing
100%.
him down. It's wearing him down.
Yeah.
But your point of that lineup, and then you could bring in, you mentioned Lopez and Forbes now.
Yes.
Right.
If you're going to post up Lopez, because Forbes
don't do that.
Forbes needs to be getting the ball on the move. Single, double screens coming off catch and shoot.
Guys,
okay.
Yeah.
Or if there was a double team on Lopez and dribbles to the middle, double team comes, he fans to one side, they hit him on the move, 3-point shot. Because he is a very good 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
But he's not a good 3-point shooter when he's just kind of a standstill guy. If you're just going to stand there and he has to just raise up, he's not that. He's got to be moving around, coming off single, double screens. Yeah. And if they don't get him moving, then he's going to have a hard time scoring, because you don't really have to guard him then, because if he's not moving, he's going to stay in one spot. I can run down and help on Giannis on the drive and force Giannis to give the ball up. And then you got Forbes not ready to shoot. Then he's forced up a shot because Phoenix is rotating very well. They're getting out to the shooters. No one's getting really open looks. They're really, really the kid Bridges is doing a great job on Middleton.
Oh, he's locked him up.
I mean, the same thing we saw Cam Reddish do in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing a guy who actually played all year.
6'7" long arms.
Yeah, and he played all season. And he's one of their better defenders.
Yep.
And he's really, really giving Middleton a lot of hard problems because of the length.
Yeah, it looks pretty desperate for Milwaukee right now, but we've seen this in series. Even for the Bucks, they lost the first 2 against Brooklyn. I think they lost by 100 points in game 2, and they came back and won the series.
It's
I mean,
never
can
over.
they get back in this?
Yes, they can. And that's why, going home, game 3 is so important. How you start game 3. You cannot come out, and we saw them in the playoffs come out at home flat.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get off to a flat start. You got to come out with energy. You got to use the crowd. Phoenix crowd was unbelievable. Like, seriously, I was sitting there watching the games. I was ready to go out there and shoot some jumpers. I was pumped up. The crowd was hyped. I mean, seriously, they were hyped.
How annoyed are you, though, with the ABC coverage of the double box showing the fans counting down? I mean, is that kind of gimmicky? Like, somebody from way up top thought that was a great idea. And from guys that cover the game, like
Giannis has sped up his routine.
Yeah,
too.
but
he's getting it off easily.
Do we really need to see a double box of some Jeff Spicoli looking dude counting down? I mean, seriously, like this is the NBA Finals. This isn't some regular season game.
It's kind of
Stinger's got his director hat on.
Yeah, it's kind of over the top. I think it's over the top. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, you're sitting there listening to this countdown. It's like, okay, obviously the officials are not going to call it, so stop counting.
Yeah.
It's like 1, 2.
Well, they did that to Karl Malone in the finals.
Yeah. But the official's not going to call it. So just let it go. Who cares? Let it go.
Yeah.
11 for 18.
Right.
Not too shabby.
Right.
If he is being rushed like that, you can tell that he's not thinking about it. See, when he has to think, and that's when the short arms, when you get the T-Rex arms. But when he's focused, like, he knows he's got to get it off. It's almost like his form is 1,000 times better when he feels like he's rushed.
Yeah.
It's when he has all that time and he's sitting there rolling the ball and he's talking about, where am I going to go to dinner tonight? Okay, my brother. Oh, let me see my brother over there. Thanos, what's up, brother? And then he gets up there and short arms the ball. Thanos.
We call him the nasty in Milwaukee, and I'm thinking maybe run him out there for a little bit.
No.
Let him run out there a little bit.
No, he can't play. He can't play.
He can't play, but I'm saying, Bryn Forbes can't play defense. I'm saying you got to be able to stop Phoenix. Somebody's going to have to stop these guys.
They tried him for like 2 minutes against John Collins. And he got like 3 fouls.
Yeah, John Collins is different.
Thanos cover and sit down with your Infinity Stones over there.
Listen. But see, here's another problem too, is that, Monty Williams is pushing the right buttons. He's getting the right people in the game in the right situations. Budenholzer has lost confidence in the guys that helped him get there. Bobby Portis is not playing
like 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes a game. Because a guy has a tough night, you can't go away from him. This is why guys lose confidence. So then when you need him to come in and play, he can't play now because he's so tight and uptight.
He's one of the top 3-point shooters in the league this year. He was a 6 man of the, consider it. How can you not? Like, you had all year to see this guy.
Matchups, they always fall back on.
I totally agree. Like Bobby Portis, man.
You can't go away with guys. I mean, your rotation, 6 men, seven guys deep in the finals. You don't go away. This is where coaches, I believe, and just in my opinion, being a player, this is where coaches fail. Is that just because a guy had one bad game, he helped you get here, and you basically say, oh, he's done 2 minutes here. You're going to tell me that he can't do a better job in the pick and roll defense than what Brook Lopez is doing? And plus give you a legit rebounder, toughness, 3-point shooting. I don't get it.
He did get abused against Chris Paul a little bit.
But who doesn't?
I agree.
Who doesn't?
I agree.
Well, he tried to swipe the ball from him, and you reach, I teach.
Yeah, but
I like
that, Mark.
Yeah,
but the problem is, like I said, it's going to continue to be this way because no one works on defense. The NBA does not work on defense. Defense is something that's taught and coached, and you're learning the fundamentals, just like you learn the fundamentals of passing, fundamentals of getting open on shots. You have to have fundamentals on defense. You have to have defensive principles. Ball you man. That was one thing that Johnny Bott really taught us. I thought I played defense at Oklahoma, but I didn't play no defense in Oklahoma until I got to the Bulls. Seriously, I thought, I blocked a lot of shots, and I thought that was defense. But I found out very quickly, I knew nothing about defense until I came to the Bulls. And Johnny Bach, the way he taught defense, point your pistols, and what he meant by that is that I got to know where the ball is, I got to know where I'm at, and I got to know where my man's at. So if my man's below me, I can see him out the corner of my eye, and I also can see the ball. So I never lose sight of where everybody is. Now, if you move up, I have to move up because now you move out of my sight. These guys nowadays, they don't even know where their man is half the time. They're looking over here to the ball, the guy dribbling. All of a sudden, their man's at the three-point line, wide open, and hits a three. They have no concept of defense, ball, you man, where to see, when to rotate, when not to rotate. You got to know who you're rotating to. If I'm rotating to a guy who's a 29% three-point shooter, I'm basically not even rotating out to him. I'm just yelling, miss. Okay? But if I'm rotating out to Booker or Chris Paul, I'm full on rotating. I'm getting out there. I'm matter of fact, I'm pre-rotating. I know the ball's coming out there. I'm already starting my rotation and getting on my horse, as we say, get on your horse before the ball even gets there. But these guys, Milwaukee is so late on rotations on the perimeter, not so much in the paint, but on the perimeter, they're so late out there. So if they don't make those adjustments, boy, they're going. It could be that. What's that dude that beat up the fan? Sons in four.
Yeah, they're all.
Yeah, I think that guy's undefeated too. He's still fighting people. I think he's undefeated because the Sons in four. Yeah, I think if they don't make that adjustment, boy, it's going to be.
Well, Stacey mentioned his high school and college days in the state of Oklahoma. We're coming up next. We're going to have one of the greatest shooters in the history of the league.
Legend.
An Oklahoma legend, Mark Price. Next
to me, America. Next to me, America. I'm a legend too, America. This guy here. This guy here with the music. Man, you'd be a terrible DJ at a wedding. They'd be like, boo, get that. Whose DJ is that?
We are back, episode 36 of Give Me the Hot Sauce, and it's time to welcome in our special guest, a man who is very familiar to Chicago Bulls fans from battling Michael Jordan and company when he was a star guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And as Stacey King will tell us, one of the greatest players from the state of Oklahoma. He says, what, the second best of all time?
Hey, listen, America. I'm just going to say one of the greatest shooters, not just in Oklahoma history, like schoolboy history.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If there would have been a three-point line when he played in high school, every record would be his. And that's no joke.
The great Mark Price joining Give Me the Hot Sauce. Thank you so much for joining the show. And I know you got a chance to listen to some of the craziness in the first segment. This show gets a little bit crazy at times, so we'll try to keep it somewhat civilized during your segment. I want to ask you about the finals first. I don't know what you've observed in watching the first couple of games. Do you think it's been strategy or just Phoenix is the better team at this point through the first two contests of the finals?
Well, I do think Phoenix is a better team right now. But, like some of you guys said, I think, Milwaukee's putting themselves in a bad position a lot. Not necessarily feeling like they're taking advantage of what the pieces that they have. Do they have as many pieces as Phoenix? I don't think so. But they got enough pieces, but I don't feel like they've really been using them the right way.
When you look at today's game, Mark, and you being such a very, very good shooter, three-point shooter in your time, how would you have loved to play in this era with the way everything is based around the three-point shot now?
Well, my teammates probably would have hated me if I played right now. All the shots. Taking all the shots. My big men, Brad, Larry, and Hot Rod, they wouldn't be happy campers right now because I'd be taking about 20 a game. But no, it'd be a lot of fun to play in this era. Obviously, it's a different style, you and I, we're both a little old school. I miss the really good low post big men, the skilled guys. I think that's why it's so fun to watch guys like Nikola Jokic, with Denver. It's in the post, and he just knows how to play. He can score. He can go outside. He, hits the open man. Just plays the game of basketball. I like the big kid at Phoenix as well, Ayton. He's a low post player. So I like to see some of that coming back into the league, and not just 5 guys standing around the 3-point line shooting 73s a game. I mean, I'm a 3-point shooter, but to be honest, I think that's a little boring sometimes.
Well, Mark, you were a couple of years ahead of Stacey in Oklahoma, and he was talking about the fact that you were paired with some of the greatest players in Oklahoma history with AAU basketball. When you reflect back on those days, how special was that?
I think it even gets more special when you look back on it. Obviously, one big reason, Big Wayman, is no longer with us. Losing him brings real perspective to that, because Wayman and I not only were we teammates on the AAU, but we played in the same conference, the old Indian Nations Conference, and played against each other twice a year. Those battles were epic when we played Booker T. Washington, and so we just had that bond together as we went up, and even as we got into the league, and we're just big fans. Wayman, I considered him a brother, and it was just a lot of fun getting a chance to go, because like Stacey said, I'm sure he's mentioned, I mean, the state of Oklahoma is known for football, right? Yep. And so I remember when we put that AAU team together, and Johnny Williams called me up, and he had said, we got this group you want to play, and we were like, yeah. And we went down there, and there was just coaches everywhere, and Team Florida, who was predicted to be one of the top teams there, I'm sure they looked at the list of teams coming in, and they saw Oklahoma, and they were like, we're playing them first game. That's going to be our warm-up game. They were down 25 at halftime before they knew what had hit them. People figured out real quick we had some ball players coming out of the state of Oklahoma, particularly that year. Not only Wayman, myself, but Steve Hale. Yep. Went on to play in North Carolina. Guys like Anthony Bowie, Chew Kennedy, those kind of guys. I mean, it was a talented group of guys in the state, and it was a lot of fun to kind of make our mark out there and play all the big schools and all the big players from all the other states. It was a lot of fun.
My question to you, Mark, is how in the hell did you get out of the state of Oklahoma and end up at Georgia Tech? Did Billy Tubbs recruit you?
Well, not as hard as he should have.
I've always wondered about that. Like, how in the hell did you and Steve Hale get out of the state of Oklahoma?
Well, it goes back, and what's crazy is, it's everybody in the state knows my dad played at Oklahoma. My dad played at Oklahoma, and I don't know if Billy thought this or what, that Wayman was their guy. I mean, he was their number one guy, and, looking back on it, I mean, like I said, I didn't pass the eye test in a lot of ways. I was a baller, but I mean, I was 5'11", 155 pounds. And so, I'm not so sure, they really thought how good I was or knew how good I was, but they didn't really put the time and effort in to find out. And, I think a lot of people just assumed I was going to Oklahoma because my parents went there. I mean, Wayman was going there. If I would have gone, it'd have been something sweet, but I just didn't feel like it was the right fit for me. Just like everybody, when they're being recruited, they want to go where they feel like it's going to be the best situation for them. The ACC at that time was just unreal, and getting an opportunity to go do that and play Georgia Tech ended up being the right decision for me, obviously. But I know there's a lot of people that were upset at my parents for a while. I thought I should have stayed in the state and gone to OU, but it didn't work out that way, and it worked out for everybody. Wayman obviously had an unbelievable career there. I did well at Tech, and so it worked out for everybody.
Yeah, that was a loss for us. That was a major loss, because I look back on it. If Billy would have called me when I was in high school, I would have told him, get Wayman and get Mark Price. Those are the two guys you need to get. Because I remember you coming down to, we used to host a tournament called the Bi-State Classic in Lawton, and you guys used to come in there. We used to have Wichita Falls, Texas, Pampa, Texas. We had all these teams come in to play in this big tournament, and that's when I was like, I think a freshman. And I was at the Bi-State Classic, and I saw this little white kid. They're like, "Hey, this kid from Enid, like he can score. He'll score 50." And I'm like, "Well, who?" And I wanted to see who this kid was. And Mark wasn't big, so I'm looking at somebody like 6'4", 6'5", but he was quick as a water bug. And he would come past half court, maybe 2 steps past half court, and the defense would be off of him, and he would just raise up. bam, and hit a shot, which would be a 3-point play. And what's that league? The Big Three?
Yeah.
Would be probably a 10-point play if he was playing that. But I could not believe how much range he had and how quick he was off the dribble. Nobody could stay in front of him. Like all these guys.
He was Steph Curry before Steph Curry.
Well, I tell people that when we talk about Steph Curry on the broadcast sometimes and how good he is, I always mention Mark Price. Mark Price reminds me, Steph Curry reminds me so much of Mark Price. The difference, though, is Mark Price could split the defense. Like, he was the one guard that we hated to trap against. Like, we used to run traps on. And so when Phil said, all right, we're going to trap him in the first half, we're going to play him different in the second half. And we'd all be sitting like, oh God, no. Can we just show hard and recover? Because when we jump out to trap him, he would take one dribble and he would split the defense, and he would always in trouble. He always got through the trap, and then he would hit that little mid-range jumper, the little runner at the free throw line, and then Phil would be yelling at us, "Get up and trap him!" Like, would you get your old ass out here and trap him? He's splitting the double team. Damn, I mean, we're doing the best we can, but I remember he was the hardest guy to trap. We could trap Isaiah, we could trap John Stockton, but we could never trap him. He would kill us with that, and I always remember that.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a funny story on that splitting the defense. And I remember as my rookie season, we were playing against Philadelphia 76ers and Mo Cheeks. And that was back in the day. They don't know this now, the young kids, but we used to have those back-to-back against the same. You play at home against somebody, and then you fly the next night and go to their place and play them there. Well, we had played Philadelphia in Cleveland, and I had my rookie high. I think I had 29 points at that game. I hit about 5 or 6 threes. And so we go back to Philly the next night, and they weren't going to let me go. They weren't going to let me do that again. So they start jumping me like Stacey said. I mean, they were just trapping me everywhere. And so one time I came off of the screen, and the big guy kind of overcommitted, and it opened up kind of like the Red Sea there. And I just instinctively and hit a little shot at the free throw line. And I remember running down the floor, and Mo Cheeks, it was, the great Mo Cheeks, he said, "Man, that was a sweet move right there." And if Mo Cheeks thinks it's a sweet move, I'm gonna start working on that, baby.
You perfected it, though. I was watching a video on Father's Day on Twitter. You were playing with your son in a pickup game, and you did that move on some regular dudes. I was like, look at Mark. He's still getting people with that move. Oh my God.
Yeah, they didn't have that wide. They didn't have that scouting report.
You could tell they were ankles were breaking, people were falling down, and he was coming off the screen. The screen sucked. The screen was terrible, but he still was he's still doing that same move, and he was getting all these doctors and lawyers that were falling down. And I'm like, oh, he had to show his son. I saw when you said you had to show your son you still can play.
Yeah, I gotta show him every once in a while. I don't pull it out often, but
Hey, Mark, when you reflect back on your NBA career, people always love to put together lists, lists of this and that, and they talk about the greatest NBA teams not to win a title. And your Cleveland Cavaliers group, so talented, so deep, but unfortunately had the misfortune of running into Michael Jordan and the Bulls during those years. When you look back on the battles that you had with Chicago, what stands out in your mind and maybe some regrets about a game that got away?
Well, people obviously I get asked about that a lot, the Bulls, and did I hate having to play the Bulls every year? And the thing was I love those series. I mean, those series were, Stacey knows, I mean, we probably don't get the credit that we deserve in a lot of ways because we didn't win a championship, but I mean, we were really, really good team.
Yeah, they were.
And we were a tough out, and we enjoyed playing the Bulls. Matter of fact, of course, everybody got the documentary that Mike did, and got a taste of all that. But that year Michael hit the shot against us, we beat Chicago 6 times that year. And I tell people all the time that at least that one particular, that season, we were the better team. But come playoff time, Chicago had the better player, and so many times, as you see over the course of the season, particularly in the playoffs, it's those superstar players that set teams apart, that are able to put a team on its back or to hit that great shot that needs to be hit at the right time. And as good as we were, and I mean, it wasn't like we were playing bad in those games and in those series. I mean, Chicago and Michael just were able to always just take it up one more notch. And you know, that part was frustrating at times, but also, I mean, you know, when you know that you're playing at your highest level and you get beat, I mean, you know, it just happens in life. And a lot of times you know, we weren't as healthy as we needed to be as well going into playoff series that hurt us. And a lot of times it's a matter of which is the healthiest team. I think you're seeing that in this season more than you have ever seen it before. I mean, Phoenix might be the healthiest team. You know,
Yeah.
here they are on the cusp of winning a championship, and a lot of reasons because they've been able to stay healthy this year. But yeah, we were a great team. You know, people talk about, I think when we lost Ron Harper,
Yes.
that was an X factor for us because, you know, I mean, nobody can match up with Michael, but you know, Michael was going to get his 30, but you know, Harper was going to get 20, 25, and Michael was at least going to have to guard for a little bit.
Yes.
And I think when we lost Ron, when they made that trade, or you know, and you know, a lot of us guys, you know, a lot of the guys that play in Cleveland, we still to this day don't really understand that trade and what went behind it or the thought process. But it definitely hurt us, our chances to win a championship, because Ron was just that one guy that could go get a hoop, you know, when you need one, and he was a little bit of that X factor for us that I felt like was a guy that would have taken us over the top.
I agree with you 100%, because when you guys traded him to the Clippers for Danny Ferry, I thought that really hurt you guys, because we honestly felt like, I mean, watching those games and being in those games with Harp, I mean, MJ could score 35, Harp could get 30. And then, you know, that was an equalizer per se for you guys, because you guys had like you said, an X factor guy that can go out there and get buckets. And then you think about all the guys that you had on that team that were great players. I mean, Cleveland was a great team. Yeah. You had Mark, you had Hot Rod Williams, Larry Nance, you had Doherty, who was arguably one of the better centers in the league at that time. And they had matchup nightmares. You had Craig Elo coming off the bench. You had Mike Sanders. They had a nice squad. And then when they made that trade and sent Harper, we were all like, yeah, because let me tell you something. Harper had gave us like 40 the night before they traded him, or the week before they traded us. He came to Chicago and gave us like 36 or 40 points. Then they traded him out to the Clippers, and we went out on our annual West Coast trip to play against the Clippers and Harp, and he gave us 40 something out there for the Clippers. And we were all just sitting there like, wow, man, if they would have kept this dude, like, what were they thinking?
Glad he's out of the conference.
Yeah, but my thing is, I want to ask you this, because I was in college when MJ hit the shot. Okay, so take our listeners into that huddle going into that timeout with your team, and what, you know, Lenny was talking about, and what you guys' defensive philosophy was on that particular play, because you guys had the game won, and you come out for the timeout, you know he's going to be the guy that's going to take that shot. You know it. So what was going through your head and your team defensive strategy at that point?
Well, the strategy was, which obviously Michael was able to get the ball anyway, but Craig Elo was guarding him, and Larry Nance was the guy that was guarding the inbounder. And so Lenny's thought process was, well, Larry's going to, as soon as they hand the ball in, he's going to leave his guy and try to go deny Michael the ball, you know, kind of double team before he catches it kind of deal. Don't let him catch it. Well, Michael was able to kind of go out and then come back and catch it and put him in a one-on-one situation against Craig Elo. And so Michael, in 2 dribbles, was able to get to his spot. Whereas looking at it in hindsight, it probably would have been better to just kind of let Michael push it out, let him maybe catch it closer to half court, and now maybe double team to give yourself a better opportunity. Hindsight's always 20/20, but you know, Michael was just a great player, and you know, he wasn't going to, you know, he beat that double team to get the ball, and then just made a great play. It was unreal. I mean, he literally had to hang in the air. I mean, Craig Elo did a fabulous job getting back into play. Michael raises up, Craig comes by, Michael just hangs and lets him come by. So, shot go. It was incredible shot. But I mean, obviously it was devastating for us, but it was definitely you know, a classic. You know, no doubt that whole game was just back and forth, and it was an awesome game to be a part of.
I caught a clip last week of your old teammate, Brad Doherty. You know, he's a big NASCAR guy. He does a lot of national commentary. And they showed him in the pits at 7 feet interviewing this driver who had to be like 5'5". And the guy's looking up at him like it was his father. When you see Brad on TV now, you give him a hard time about the way he's assimilated into broadcasting and being this NASCAR expert.
Well, the funny thing is, it doesn't surprise me one bit because Brad and Larry, they were always into NASCAR, you know.
Oh, wow.
I remember when we would go on trips as a team, they'd come walking in on the plane with a briefcase. And of course, I'd be like, what do you guys got in the briefcase? you got car magazines in those briefcases. That's all you got in those briefcases. And, they used to just talk about it. Larry was into drag racing. Brad was more into NASCAR, but they love that stuff. So, I mean, Brad knew that like the back of his hand. So that was a natural fit for him. A lot of people look at him like, how does he know anything about this? I mean, a lot of people don't realize he wore the number 43 for Richard Petty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that, that's why he wore the number 43. So that shows you how big of a NASCAR guy Brad was all the way back.
And then they took Larry Nance's number out of the rafters so his kid could wear it.
Yep.
Right?
Sure
So
did.
it comes full circle, doesn't it? We're all getting old, right?
Hey,
That's all that means. That's all that
Yeah. Hey, just because you're old doesn't mean you're cold.
hey, Mark, I want to ask you about a game in the playoffs against the Bulls, 92. You mentioned Danny Ferry. Stacey's told the story about the hit.
Oh, yeah.
The hit on Danny Ferry. I just wanted to hear your side of that tale.
Which
The game. Well, get Stacey.
Well, he's talking about the game where we played. I think it was game 5 in Cleveland. And Danny Ferry came in and hard fouled Michael. Michael was getting ready to swing on him, blah, blah, blah. And then we come back to Chicago. His face was on a wanted poster. So it was a bounty. It was a bounty out on Danny Ferry. Okay. Now that the statute of limitations, the NBA can't find us anything. Yes, there was a bounty out on Danny Ferry's head for what he did to Michael at the arena. And so we come back and so we had this thing and said, okay, when Danny Ferry comes in the game, it's almost like Lenny Wilkins knew that there was a bounty on his head and he didn't really play him a lot. And then there was an opportunity. We came in the game, we were winning. And the thing was, Phil said, hey, when he makes it, as soon as he gets in the game, if he gets a layup, take him down. He's got to go down. He's got to go down hard. So that was the bounty. So everybody knew. And so this whole game, he hardly ever played. And then he got in the game and played towards the end, and he has a layup. And Will Perdue, and I'm going to put Will on blast, Will Perdue had the clearest shot to get him. And so I'm guarding someone else. I don't even know who I was guarding, but they were right on the perimeter. And I'm looking at Will, and Will's just letting him go to the basket. Like he's not going to go hard foul him. So I'm like, oh, no, this can't happen. This might be our only shot at this guy. So I come flying out like a free safety, like Jack Tatum. And so he goes in. I did make a play on the ball. Like I really sold it like I was going for the ball, but I did knock the hell out of him. But so then the benches got in, the benches cleared. Everybody was out on the floor. And the smallest guy on the floor, not Mark Price, but Steve Kerr. So Steve Kerr is a feisty, and he was my teammate too, so I know Steve. So I'm walking away, and there's all these words are being said, and Steve Kerr's in my face, like yelling at me, that's Bush League, blah, 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 blah. I want to kick your ass. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, really, dude? Like, so I just got him like in a chokehold. I didn't throw punch him, but I just kind of grabbed him by the throat, like, I will choke your neck off. And, but there was a bounty on Danny Ferry's head. There might still be one if we ever see him, but because the shot he did on MJ, I don't know if you remember, Mark, but that was kind of a cheap shot.
Well,
And we understood why he did it because he wanted to get him out the game.
I think about every team had a bounty on Danny. So
yeah. I think you're right on that one.
We'll just leave it at that.
So tell our, I tell people, how great a shooter you were in high school. Best high school shooter I've seen. Now, you started coaching, you were head coach out of Charlotte, and you work with young players. Tell our listeners, what the difference in young kids today compared to when you were being coached and, by your high school coaches and Johnny Williams. What's the mentality? Because to me, these kids now, everybody wants to get to the NBA. Nobody really wants to get better. Their goal is to get to the NBA. And so they feel like watching the NBA game, they kind of take what they're seeing in the NBA and putting it in their game, and it's all about the 3-point shot. There's no mid-range game. It's either a 3-pointer or try to get to the rim and finish. But the elements of the game, the passing, and it's kind of lost.
No, I agree with you. It's funny when I go do a shooting clinic or kids or parents even are amazed. Like, I never had a 3-point shot until I got to the NBA. Like, it wasn't even in college.
Nope.
And the ACC, my freshman year at Georgia Tech, ACC was the first conference to experiment with the 3-point shot. And so in conference play, we had a 3-point shot, and it was literally a little bit inside the top of the key, if you could believe that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, layup.
I led the league in scoring as a freshman because of that. I beat Michael out. Michael was at UNC, and I beat him out for the scoring title because of that 3-point line. And so that's the only time I ever got to play with one. And of course, they took it out. I call it the Mark Price rule. They took it out till I left college, and then they put it in the next year for everybody.
Wow.
But I tell kids when I'm talking to them and players all the time, that it was a blessing. It was a blessing that I didn't have the 3-point line, because I think that debilitates so many kids' ability to grow as a player. Because I used to run my basketball camp, and my speech after the first day of camp every year, because you come in, right? You got 200 kids out in the gym, and there's like nobody inside the 3-point line. Like, you walk in before camp starts, and there's like 200 kids just jacking up threes. Like, it don't matter if they're 5 years old, 15 years old. And so, my big speech that day is, I'm coming in here tomorrow, and I better not see anybody out there shoot the first 20 shots from the 3-point line. And because you just learned to play the game. If you were open from 10 feet, you took the shot. If you were open from 20 feet, you took the shot. If you're open at 5 feet, there wasn't any of this, shoot the 3 or get all the way to the rim mentality. And so, I felt like it developed my game. I was such a skilled shooter. It didn't matter. Like, all those shots that I was able to hit, splitting the screen and stuff, that's stuff that I'd practiced my entire life, because I wasn't out there every day standing behind shooting 400 3-point shots. I was just shooting all over the court. And I think it really, to Stacey's point, I think I really believe in it. And this is not one of those old school, new school things, but I just think you had an overall more skilled player coming in, to the pros because of those reasons. I mean, they just knew how to play. You played the game. You played basketball when you were open. You took the shot. You weren't looking down on the floor seeing where the 3-point line was all the time. And so, I really believe that was like a blessing for me as a player growing up, because I didn't have that distraction. Because in a lot of ways, I think that 3-point line, especially when kids are young and trying to learn to shoot, and I mean, that's just a distraction. Like, all they want to do is make a 3.
Yeah.
So.
How do you feel analytics is helped the game or hurt the game?
Well, I think like anything, I think there's good and bad to everything. I think obviously analytics gives a lot of information, to players, coaches, stuff you can use, no doubt. But I think also the game of basketball, I think probably unlike any other sport, there's a feel to the game. I always got a kick out because, these combine things now, that started with football, those combines, how high a guy can jump or how fast. And I think that really carries over probably to the game of football, but when you start doing it, so, a guy in basketball measures a 40-inch vertical leap. I probably had a 25-inch vertical leap. So, but I was going to be a better player than that guy I was going to play against. And so how do you measure that? And I think, the analytics, I tell people all the day, if I had to go to NBA combine, I probably wouldn't get drafted, So it's like, I think there's part of the game that you can't measure a guy's heart. You can't measure, his feel for the game and things like that. And that's why I think I'm enjoying this series, because Chris Paul, he's old school point guard, right? Out there, just playing the game the right way and just lighting it up. And I hope that people see that. There was one game I think it was in the semifinals. I can't remember, where he had like 30 something points and, multiple assists, and he didn't shoot one 3-pointer the whole game. and so it was like, just, it was fun to see that, hey, you know what, analytics does what it does and there's a lot to it, but you can still win games and not have to win the 3-point battle every single night. And
agreed.
Yeah. We had Sam Smith on last week. And he talks about how no one talks about the great Knick teams. It's all about what happened just now. It was in reference to, I might've been Chris Paul, what he did. He's the greatest player ever. And no one talks about some of the great Knick players that he saw. You played in an unbelievable super team era, the Boston Celtics, the Lakers, you mentioned the Sixers, the onset of the Bulls, the Pistons. I mean, can you just tell our viewers that may not have watched any of those games in the 80s, what it was like to play in the league? I know you touched on the Bulls, but before the Bulls, there were all those other teams. I just would like to get your take on how competitive it was to play, not just in the Eastern Conference, with the Bucks too, but what was that like?
I mean, the Eastern Conference, when I got into the league, when I showed up in Cleveland, was just off the charts. I mean, you had Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, the Bucks were good. I mean, it was just like loaded. And what other people forget as well, there was only 24 teams.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you had literally guys, your 6th, 7th, and 8th men on teams back then could light you up on a given night. I mean, you had, the Vinnie Johnsons of the world. We had a guy named John Battle who played in Atlanta. I mean, the dude comes in cold, stepping on the floor, going to get you 20, on any given night. I mean, that the level of, now, I mean, in my opinion, you got guys that are starting, in the league now because there's so many teams and it's spread out so much that would have a hard time, getting on the floor with the rosters of some of those teams. I mean, you talk about the Celtics with their roster. I mean, Parrish, Bird, McHale, Dennis Johnson. I mean, Danny Ainge. I mean, that's your starting group. I mean, that's just, crazy. And so it was so much fun and so much of a challenge for us as a young core with our group to come in and have to compete against that every night because you had no choice. You were either going to get better and you were going to compete or you were going to get your butt kicked every night. And, it was a special time, a fun time. Like I said, I feel blessed to have played in that era. I got to play against so many of the all-time greats from, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J's, Larry Bird's, Magic Johnson. You just keep going and going and going. And it was just every night was a thrill, to play in the league.
Well, Mark, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, you were one of the all-time great shooters,
Yes.
Had a great run with the Cleveland Cavaliers, some classic battles with the Chicago Bulls. And we tape an episode to Give Me the Hot Sauce every weekend, and at least once a month, Stacey King references the great Mark Price. I mean, he mentions you all the time as one of the all-time greats he played against.
Hall of Famer in my book.
You have those Oklahoma ties, those roots run deep, and he talks about those days very fondly. So thank you so much for joining the show. Continued success in your career, and we love catching up with you, Mark.
I appreciate having me on, man. I always appreciate you, Stacey. Oklahoma brother, man.
Yes, sir, Ski. Hey, tell your brothers I said what's up.
All right, I will. Take care.
Thanks, Mark.
That is the great Mark Price.
Great Mark Price. Hall of Fame in my book, baby. Get him in the Hall of Fame.
Coming up next, we're going to go off the wall with a topic that I think you're going to have a lot of fun with. It is a happy hour edition of Give Me the Hot Sauce.
Nobody knows how dry I am. Give me the hot sauce. Give me the hot sauce.
Welcome back to our Thank God It's Friday happy hour edition of Give Me the Hot Sauce. We mentioned this at the top of the show. We don't normally record late Friday afternoon, and since it's the start of the weekend, we thought we'd have a lot of fun. Our guy Timmy Whispers had a keg freshly tapped, so we appreciate that.
I don't normally eat Fritos.
Please don't eat them again. Do not eat them again.
Stacey noticed he hasn't opened up the Doritos because that would just scare everybody out of here.
Yeah, nobody wants to smell feet.
I'm just going to take my
Ruin
shoes
the whole
off.
show. Look at John.
I opened them.
Look at John over eating Fritos now. Look at him.
At least he's chewing away from the microphone.
Like a squirrel. Look at him.
Like a seasoned professional.
Look at him. Like a little squirrel leaning over to the left so we want to hear him crunching. Go ahead and scratch him, John. Go ahead.
We're going to take the show in a different direction. We want to thank the great Mark Price for joining us. Class exemplified. Now we're going to go to no class and then talk about one of the much debated movies in the history of Hollywood. This is the off the wall portion, and we're kind of combining it with rapid fire. Did he get the rifles? There you go.
There you go. If he wouldn't been eating Fritos, he would have hit that button a little bit faster.
We got to talking in our production conversation about one of the movies we all enjoyed called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Took some liberal looks at the life of what happened in that disaster in Hollywood when there was all those people killed, where Charles Manson supposedly was involved. And we don't know if the movie was actually accurate, but it was a lot of fun to watch. And Stinger, you were telling us about a great stuntman by the name of Gene LaBelle, who actually was one of the motivations for that.
Yeah, I get apparently, according to Tarantino and things I've read, that Bruce Lee didn't like stuntmen.
Yeah,
and he kind of abused them, and so the
tag him
and the Green Hornet, the stunt coordinator, brought this guy Gene LaBelle, and if you look up this guy, because this guy had a unbelievable wrestler, grappler, I think he had nicknames, and so he brings in Gene LaBelle apparently for a scene, and he basically beats up Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee brings him in and and Stacey can elaborate a little bit about Bruce Lee, how he used all different forms, but he kind of brought him into his repertoire. And that was Cliff. That's Cliff's
Brad Pitt character.
Yeah. And the thing that we were talking is like Tarantino says, oh yeah, Cliff was a killer. He could have killed Bruce Lee. and I guess the scene was they were going to have Cliff beat up Bruce Lee, and Cliff and Brad Pitt said, wait a minute, let's not do that.
Don't take it that far.
So then they did the 2 out of 3 knockdown, and Cliff, having trained in Vietnam and hand to hand, kind of set up Bruce Lee apparently and knew his move. And then when he
on the Green Hornet,
in the movie, and then when he came at him again, he kind of turned his body and pivoted and threw him against the car, which.
My effing car,
which is a great scene in itself. But anyways, we just, I'm sure.
Cliff Booth was actually based on Lee Needham, another stuff.
Way to go.
Because he was the guy who actually was the special forces guy, paratrooper. So
and Stacey, you've done a lot of research on Bruce Lee, so you're very familiar with it. He was a small guy, but obviously wasn't afraid to take on anybody. But in this legend from the Tarantino story, that he felt like a grappler could take care of Bruce Lee.
Lies. Okay. Listen, first of all, America, there's no way in the world that Bruce Lee was getting beat up by a stuntman. I'm sorry. Now he might have shown Bruce Lee some moves as far as grappling, because Bruce Lee was always evolving as a martial artist. Okay. He went from Wing Chun style to the Jeet Kune Do style, and he created his own style that is even used today. Okay. So Quentin Tarantino, first of all, you weren't even there. So you can't validate that. You know what I'm saying? If you were there and someone was there, they said, Gene LaBelle beat him up. Listen, you didn't do Bruce Lee like that. The man with the 1-inch punch. Matter of fact, I even told John that I would come in there because I'm a Bruce Lee disciple. Okay, America. I was going to do a 1-inch punch on John today, but he refused to do it because he knows. See, look at it.
Look at those hands. He's got James King's hands.
America, look at this. Look at this. America, see this fist right here? Now watch. That's the 1-inch punch right there.
I'm
see how
still
fast
waiting
it was?
for the wiffle ball challenge.
That sounds a little safer than the 1-inch punch.
Well, no.
See, look at the power generated. I'm just giving you half the power.
I'll do it.
Dinosaur arms?
I'll do it.
You know what?
You're going to take the 1-inch punch?
First of all, Susan.
I'll take the 1-inch punch.
I will 1-inch punch a woman. Okay, I will, okay? I'll 1-inch punch you, okay? All right? I won't hit you as hard.
You just said you'd never punch a woman.
Trevor Bauer, Trevor Bauer's doing it. Come here, baby.
The opinions of Stacey King do not necessarily reflect those on
Trevor Bauer, you are a freak. You should not be doing that. No, hit the rifles, man. Trevor Bauer, you're wrong for that, Trevor Bauer.
There's a big fight coming up, a big UFC battle. Conor McGregor against Dustin Poirier, the third and final bout of the trilogy.
Suckers.
And Conor doesn't look the same as he did in his heyday. Has he got a chance in this fight?
He is going to win by knockout, America.
Right.
He is. Let me tell you something. A motivated Conor McGregor is a dangerous Conor McGregor.
I thought it was too much proper number 12 whiskey.
Listen, all jokes aside, Mark Shanowski, okay, do not bet against Conor McGregor.
All right.
He always comes back and he wins the rematch. He's going to knock out Dustin Poirier. Bet on him, America.
What do you think, Timmy?
Come on,
It's
Timmy.
it's actually his 12th main card. So it's proper 12 for him to win this.
Oh, that was good.
Way to go,
That
Tim.
was good.
Way to tie that in. Unfortunately, we're not sponsored by Proper 12, so we shouldn't even be saying that
We
kind
will
of
be
stuff.
soon.
Oh, Proper 12. Whoa, who the fuck is this guy?
You know what's funny is that Poirier and McGregor are both 32, the same age as Bruce Lee when he died.
Okay, wow. That way to bring down. Way to bring down.
What did you think about the whole pre-fight
And they
news
like-
conference?
And they like Fritos.
Oh my God!
It seemed like McGregor came off, a little bit desperate, and Poirier seems very confident.
That I think is the difference because it was the opposite the last time. And if you look at McGregor and what he's saying, he's just a corpse. I don't give a fuck.
Oh my God.
It's time to take him out.
Well, here's what happened.
Are you guys getting together for the fight?
No, he's not invited. He's not doing ribs, so I'm not coming over. So if he was doing ribs, I'd be coming over. Okay. But here's the difference in the second fight. The second fight, McGregor was too nice. He was complimentary. If you ever follow Conor McGregor, I'm a big Conor McGregor fan in America. He's never complimentary of anybody he fights. He's always trying to get into their head psychologically. And he didn't do that with Dustin Poirier in the second fight. And then he also was preparing to fight Manny Pacquiao in a boxing match. So therefore he wasn't doing any of the mixed martial arts. If you remember that fight, if you watch that fight, Conor McGregor got beat with a basic move. He got calf kick. That's a basic move. He didn't check that kick not one time, which in turn really weakened him. Because if you're getting kicked in the calf, you can't stand and push off the leg to generate power with your punches because your calves hurt so bad. And that's because early in the fight, he was tagging Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier was ready to go out in the first round. So now if he checks that calf kick this time, because if you watch Embedded, they do like something like HBO, Hard Knocks. UFC does this thing called Embedded. And Dustin Poirier was talking to Jorge Masvidal. He says, hey, he goes, what are you going to do this fight? And then, Dustin Poirier said, hey, look, last fight, I wasn't even planning on kicking him in the calf and he didn't defend it. So I just kept kicking him in it. So he went in there not thinking, he wasn't going to do any calf kicks and it just happened. But this time he's going to have to fight because Conor McGregor will be in his karate stance. And it's a difference. He was in a boxing stance before where he couldn't check kicks. Now he'll be in his quick karate stance where he's able to move a little bit better. And I just see the outcome being a knockout.
Yeah.
You kids coming over to watch the fight?
Yeah, it's a free fight, free food. That's the only time my kids love me. They sent the order today. They was like, hey, Dad, we're getting a fight, right? Yeah, I guess I'm paying for it. You gonna get that pizza for us, Lou Malnati's? Lou Malnati's, if you're listening, Lou Malnati, all the people at Lou Malnati's, that's one of my favorite pizzas, baby. So if you're listening right now, we can use a sponsor, some free pizza too. Okay, so you see Stacey King name come up on the order tomorrow, and you see me ordering 2 large pan pizzas. Don't be afraid to give it to me for free, baby. I don't turn nothing down with my collar. I'm doing shameless plugs right now. And you know what? And when I get that pizza, one of the favorite things I like to do is put my hot sauce on it.
There you go.
Give me the hot sauce on my pizza. Another shameless plug. It's my show, so I can do it. It's free advertisement.
Wow.
Give me the hotsauce.com. It's available.
Give me the hotsauce.com.
Are we going to talk about Brock Water now? What's the water company that?
Hey, Angel Water. Angel Water. Angel Water. Oh, if you want great water, purified water, make sure you call my guy Andy. And he'll take care of you.
I'm hitting the rifles.
Yeah.
Another shameless plug.
We celebrated the 4th of July weekend this past weekend, and Stacey was struck by a video that he saw. A young guy shooting fireworks. That reminded you of a story from your youth.
Man, I tell you
really
what.
Do that?
Hell to the
All
yeah.
the time.
Explain exactly what the instrument is.
Grateful.
Okay, America. Back in the day when we used to have you could pop fireworks in your yard, you could have any kind of fireworks you wanted.
M80s.
There was M80s, all the stuff, and there was no rules. So what we used to do is like the OK Corral. So we get the Roman candles. Okay, the Roman candles is like a shotgun, basically. So the other person that you're gonna fight, we get Roman candles too. So you light them at the same time, and then you just have a Roman candle fight. And so you shoot each other with the Roman candles. And I mean, literally, you would hit each other with the Roman candles. And it was a great experience unless you got burned, unless you got hit. Okay, if you weren't quick, you got hit a lot. Okay, so we saw a video the other day because we had just been talking about, me and Tim had talked about doing that when we were kids, and it was a great childhood we had. A lot of fun. A lot of kids might have lost the eye, but hey, they're okay now. They might have to wear a patch, but they're okay. Okay. So we
missing a couple fingers.
Yeah, missing a couple fingers. Yeah, you don't need them anymay. You're not typing. You're not, when you're not texting anybody, you can talk into your phone now and send a message. Hello, this is John. How you doing?
Ask JPP about it.
Oh, yeah. That was terrible.
That was 4th of July.
Yeah, that was 4th of July. So, but anyway, we saw this lady. We saw this guy. I don't think the lady really wanted to get shot with the.
No, I would not.
She looked like a deer. She was running, and the dude was just chasing her all over the place, and he was hitting her with this Roman candle. Oh. And at first, when you see the video, you go, "Oh my God, I used to do this," as a kid. And then you start seeing it was a lady running, and he was actually, she didn't want to get hit with it. He kept shooting her. I don't know if it was her husband or boyfriend.
Hair on fire,
but her hair caught on fire like the Michael Jackson commercial, the Pepsi commercial. So it starts to light up, and he's still shooting her. No one stepped in to say, "Hey man, stop! Don't do that." Everybody was laughing, having a good time.
Nobody liked her.
She must not have been a friend to anybody over there.
Not a bucket of water.
Nobody put a bucket of water on her. No one put a towel over her head. She just was running around. He was steady shooting her with the candle. But again, we can look back at our childhoods and look back on that. And we used to do the same thing. But no one hair caught on fire. We didn't have that situation.
Do you think that Mark and Brent Price were doing that in Enid, Oklahoma?
No, they lived in the suburbs. They had people come to the house with fireworks and
sparklers.
They held the sparklers. They didn't do like from where we did
God Bless America.
No, when we did it, we was straight like war.
Okay, Corrally said. Speaking of suburbs, we had our own fireworks show. We have a neighbor that closes the street down, so we south side.
Is that legal?
I apparently it's in Brookfield, Wisconsin. The permit.
They can shut down the street.
They shut down
block party.
The block party, and we were
creepy old guy on the bike.
Yeah, creepy old guy on the bike. Yeah,
no, we walked.
The dog attacked.
No, we walked, and it was an amazing display right there. Thousands of dollars lit off in the air, but it was fun.
Did all the neighbors come out?
Yeah, it was. This street is the coolest street in the neighborhood because they all hang out, and they had a little party, and they had their food. And then they have their kids running around, and then they
you know who doesn't like fireworks?
Dogs.
Yeah. How'd your dogs?
My dogs loved it.
Really?
Oh, my dogs loved it.
Come on.
Oh, they didn't get scared at all. They were like literally trying to run and trying to chase things that were 2 neighborhoods away. They were trying to see the little bombs go up in the air. They're running, trying to get them. They were
the shot collar just to make it more fun.
Hey, you know what? Let me tell you something. See, there you go. America. Listen, sometimes you got to get a shot collar.
That's right. Sometimes you got it.
There was a good meme that I saw over the weekend. It was a cat watching a fireworks show, and it goes, "This is me, my cat, watching fireworks while your sorry ass dog hides under the bed."
Oh wow!
Oh, those are fighting words there.
I think it was bitch ass, but
wow. Hey, I tell you what though, my dogs were not afraid. And, America, when we talk about the shot collar. Okay, so let me tell you why I got a shot collar, America. Okay, because first of all, my area doesn't have fencing. Yeah. So it's on the golf course, everybody's running around. Okay, boom. Okay. So my dogs love to run across the street and chase people. Okay. So I was on my phone the other day and I wasn't paying attention. I was doing something on my phone and all of a sudden they take off. There's a dog across the street on the other sidewalk.
They talk to each other first before they take off?
You know what? And let me tell you what they do. It's like one watches the other. Yeah. And if one breaks, the other one breaks. Okay. Normally it was Kobe, the little gray one. He's the one, I call him nicknamed Trouble. He's the one always getting in trouble. But this time he was just sitting in the driveway, laying in the driveway on his stomach because he likes the cool, because it was cool this day. All of a sudden, Brixton takes off across the street. His big dog. Now, what are you going to do? This dog outweighs you by 125 pounds, but he runs after this big dog, and then Kobe gets off. Boom! I'm trying to get to the collar, shocker. I can't find it. It's like when it's like when you're trying to get a gun when you need it, you can't get it, and next thing you know,
we've all had that experience.
Yeah, right? The bad guy gets you. Like you're trying to kill Jason, and you're like trying to, oh my god, and he gets you.
I just had a gun.
Yeah, I just had a gun or machete.
Hey, I think we should say more than America because we are in 39 countries. Maybe you might want to rephrase.
You know what? Maybe you need to mind your own business.
Okay, because I just
you want to try to get technical over there, Captain America, with the black shirt on.
Well,
I mean, we need to see the flag. First, I didn't see. Is that like 1776? Oh, that's
no. There's 50.
Okay, 50. Okay,
there's
there
50
you go.
Here.
Okay, there you go. All right, is that polo?
We'll count them up later.
Is that polo?
It could be.
Let me see. Polo does it. Polo does his shirt like that, or is that Hunt Club?
I don't think
It's Hunt Club. It's Hunt Club. Okay.
I think it's Fruit of the Loom is what it is.
Oh wow!
It's Dick's Sporting Goods.
I'm hitting
the rifles. Look out!
Chess club.
We've reached the midway point of Major League Baseball season. The White Sox are running away with the American League Central Division. I think they're up by 6.5 games, or was it 7.5 in the last check? And the Chicago Cubs are ready to unload. Wow, what a free fall that was. They went from first place a couple of weeks ago. Now they're getting ready to sell off Chris Bryant and Craig Kimbrell and anybody else that teams are willing to make a bid on. As Jen Hoyer, their general manager, said,
we're 7 up.
Life happens fast. And all of a sudden the Cubs are sellers. And this is the end of an era for the Cubs, that great World Series team with Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo and Javi Baez and all those guys. You barely recognize it in a couple of weeks. And I think that's one of the things, Stacey, that's unique to baseball is when a team decides they're out of it, all things must go. The fire sale starts.
Oh, man. It was just a month ago they were in first place?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. And then they lost 11 games in a row.
Oh, my God.
They matured. They finally discovered who they were.
I'm free falling. Yeah, that's what they did. They free. Because I'm going to tell you right now, listen. I mean, that's crazy to see them go that fast in a matter of 2 weeks.
Well, they had a no-hitter, 4-pitcher combined no-hitter in Dodger Stadium. And since then, they lost 11 straight.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
well, I mean, and then, I mean, listen.
Milwaukee won 11 in a row.
Yeah, and then it was a beatdown.
Little Molly over there. Jump on the bandwagon.
Did you wear a jersey in the truck?
It was. It was priceless.
We.
It was priceless when they scored 10 runs to show all the Cubs fans going for the exits.
You know what? That's uncalled for.
You wanted to come up.
You got a Yankee hat on.
Yeah, but listen. Southside, you keep sliding in here and throwing little darts at me. Okay?
Yeah, they're 9 out. By the way,
I'm not reserved to give you a throw punch. I've been known to do it. I've been known to.
1 inch. 1 inch.
No, not the 1 inch punch on Southside. It's a throw punch because she can recover from that.
Full dragon
a punch. She might not be able to. My Bruce Lee 1 inch. She might not be able to recover. But the throw punch. She's out.
Once again, you said you never punch a woman. So
no, I would never punch a woman.
There's never, ever.
We need to tell Trevor about that.
I feel very safe.
You're safe. But I've been known to throw punch I've been known to do it. I've been known, I've been known to do it.
You don't see it coming.
Hey, listen. Hey, Lois King might have got throw punched a couple times. I don't want to tell you about that. I had to might have throw punch my mom.
This turned into true confessions. All of a sudden. I don't know what's going on.
No, I never.
Listen, I never on a different team than James King.
Listen.
Every story you've told, she's on the same team.
I would never throw punch my mother. My mother was 6'1", and she could throw them hands. Okay, and she was a dirty fighter. Okay, you just never knew what was coming your way. It could be a fork in the eye. It could be those wooden spoons that used to be on your wall. Used to hang back in the 70s. The wooden spoon and fork. She's been known to pull one of those off and hit you in the head with it.
What did she hit your brother with?
Corn on the cob. No, my older brother.
Yeah, older brother.
Oh, my other brother got a yadro in the head. But see, my younger brother, when he was like. He might have been about 9 years old. He kept harassing my mom in the kitchen when she was cooking. And so she's like, "Hey mom, what are you gonna eat? What are you doing?" And just kept talking he was one of those people that do auctions, "Hey mom, what are you gonna eat? What are you gonna fix?" And so she said, "Boy, if you don't get your little ass away from me, leave me alone." Like, "Mom, come on, man, what are you gonna eat? What are we gonna have dinner?" And she had corn on the cob. She had just took the thing off the corn, and then he came in there one last time after she had warned him. See, when Lois King gave you one warning, you're supposed to know never to go back in the kitchen. He got 2 warnings. There was not a third. So the third time he came in there, "Hey, mom," she took the corn on the cob and busted him in the head, and corn flying everywhere. And he ran out like he got hit by a chair. And so I'm in there running the vacuum cleaner because we had chores at that time. And I'm over there complaining about running the vacuum cleaner because it wasn't my day. It was my older brother's day to do the vacuum, and she's making me do it. And I was back there mumbling, like, "You're making me do something. You never make him do it." And then after I saw the corn on the cob and hit, I decided just to go ahead and run that vacuum cleaner, not say a word. That was in the best interest. I mean, I made an executive decision as a 12-year-old just to run the vacuum cleaner and shut my mouth.
That's the difference between implying and inferring.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Timmy Whispers comes on the scene again with his knowledge.
Well, when she said leave. She was implying you should leave. We got cracked in the head. She inferred it's time for you to leave.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Stacey got her back on 4th of July, though, with the Roman candle.
Hey, listen. I never hit my mom with a Roman candle. I would not be here today. Let me tell you, America, if I ever did that to my mom would have got a gun. Forget a Roman candle. I'd have been out of here. I don't know. Not Lois King.
I think we talked about this at one point. Didn't your mom? Because my mom had one, the barber's belt, where they used to sharpen it up. We had one of those in the house.
Not my mom. My grandmother had. My grandfather used to cut hair. He had a barber shop. He used to cut hair. So he had that straight razor sharpener,
right?
The big, thick thing.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like 5, 6 years old and doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. And he pulled that thing out, boy. And those are the back of the days when parents didn't care where they hit you, or grandparents didn't care where they hit you. You got hit in the neck, the shoulder. I think I got beat with everything you can be beat with.
John's mom wasn't a barber though.
No, but she actually
inquired. How did she get that?
We used to get our hair cut at the barber, and she said,
yeah, can't you tell?
There we go.
Stacey was admiring her fingers cut the other day.
Oh yeah. Hey, America.
You gotta check out YouTube.
You gotta see
this
YouTube.
haircut is something.
Okay, see, look at John's hair right now, America. There he is right there. So the other day at the production meeting, I noticed things about everybody on the show.
Buddy Lee.
So we see John. John's up there, he's looking fresh. He's got a fresh cut. I'm like, hey, John got a haircut. And I just see like this little patch of hair. So I started calling him Sweet Pea off Papa. You got that little bitty strand of hair. And then it went to Buddy Lee. Remember Buddy Lee, the little doll from Lee? And then the next phase for John is the comb over. Because as you can see right now, as on top of he's looking sharp. And Susan is the barber. See, John doesn't want to let Southside know that he doesn't want his hair cut anymore. He asked me to say it. So I'm, me.
Is this America?
It's America, France, New Zealand, whoever may be listening to this. Okay, Sri Lanka, whoever may be listening, Cuba. Okay, Susan, Southside Susan, as you see in the background, who likes to throw darts at people. Her husband no longer wants her to cut his hair, but he doesn't know how to bring it up to her and say, I don't want you to cut my hair, honey, because he wants to keep a happy home. So he's hired me.
This is an intervention.
Yes, I step in and I'm saying what John wants to say. Honey, please put the damn clippers down. I don't want you to cut my hair. I want to go to Supercuts. Yes, I would rather pay the $15.99 to go get my hair cut and get a shave too. As long as they don't touch my stinger, okay? See, now look at Susan. Done. Look at her. She got attitude now. She's a little salty. She's salty right now.
Hey, Stinger, I noticed there's no show and tell today. What's up?
Oh, wait a minute. Whoa.
Where's little Molly?
Little Molly? How about little Stacey? I pulled this one out of the.
Does it still work?
Yeah, it does.
Is the battery loaded?
Actually, I hit the button.
Okay,
and
there, the box.
Yeah.
No, it's out.
Yeah, I hit this button and it made all the feedback. So let's see if it works.
Nice.
What about that?
Try it again. What else you got? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, classic.
Saved by a dog.
Classic. Another classic. Another classic.
See, next time Stacey's late, we'll just let that guy go.
Yeah.
Wow, that's uncalled for, Mark.
Stacey, what do you think?
Cardboard cutout.
And he'll always agree with us. That's what's nice.
You know what?
Stacey, what do you think?
You know what? This is what I'm talking about, America. That's a collector's item, first of all, America.
That's right.
It should be in a glass case. It should not be out. It should be in a glass case, but he got it in a little tub downstairs, his little tub.
Mixed in with his cards.
in with all his cards that he stole from all the older people. Okay. And then he walks down there with he's got butter oil on.
You don't need that.
And his little singlet. He's walking down there and he pulled my little man out. Okay. I just want you to know it's a collector's item, ladies and gentlemen. If you get that, you can buy that on eBay. They're still out there.
Expensive on eBay.
I know they are. You know why?
Just going
It's
up.
a classic.
Instant.
Yes.
Not many left. People are dropping them.
Yes. yeah. I'm surprised that still works. He like twisted my head. My neck was hurting today coming in. It's like a voodoo doll.
Yeah.
He's like trying to get me. I twist his head. Oh Lord, I came in. My neck was sore.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for give me the hot sauce, you can also find that collector's item on eBay.
Yes.
The Stacey King talking bobblehead doll. It is a collector's item.
It's a collector's item.
It is.
It was one of the biggest Bulls giveaways
Mm-hmm.
in the history.
That's awesome.
It was like lines of people all around the arena to get that. And I tell you right now, I don't even have one.
Oh, that's criminal. Now you got to give it to
No, because you know what happens?
You want
Because
mine?
when people, I used to have a bunch at my house. So when like little kids come over and, I give them to little kids, you know what I'm saying? So
is that like a trick or treat?
Yeah,
you get a bobblehead doll.
I try not to be at home.
Fills up the bag.
I try not to be at home on trick or treat. I'm not at home.
That's a whole different episode.
It's a whole different episode, man. No, I can't be at home, man.
I got to hear that.
Halloween stories.
Wow.
Trick or treating with the King household.
Where
Hey,
are
Mark,
you?
save it for October.
Well,
Yeah,
you
save
say,
for October.
Are you
Yeah.
out in some field with a chainsaw? Why can't you listen? What the hell?
He's gonna have his 2 dogs dressed up.
He
Listen.
lives in like suburbia.
Listen,
Like,
listen.
October.
The
Let's
great
save it for
pumpkin.
October.
Listen, I'm not talking to you, John, about it, okay? I'm not talking to you
But we'll
about it.
save it. We'll save it. We get
We'll save it
closer
for
to trick or
October.
treat.
Okay.
Hey, speaking of upcoming events, we're taking the show on the road. We're going back to one of our favorite places, Saluto's Family Italian Restaurant in Gurnee. You know the address off the top of your head there, Stinger?
it's
It's on Grand Avenue.
Yes, it
it's
is.
easy to find, just
It
west
is.
of the interstate.
Saludos, America.
Yeah,
Come
we're
on
going to
out.
be there Thursday, July 15th. We're going to get the festivities started at 6 p.m. You don't need a ticket. There's no admission. Just come in and join the great food, great Italian food offered there. And they showed us great hospitality last time. We're looking forward to our second visit.
I've got word from Johnny Ott that he is putting a wiffle ball field back in the backyard.
Oh, no.
So-
So you're going to get the 1-inch punch,
So
too.
Yeah. If I'm gonna play wiffle ball, you getting the 1 inch.
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Anybody
I
wants
think
to come
John's a
in?
loser in that.
Oh my God. Oh, so you said now you're challenging people to come
Yeah,
up.
so 5
You're
o'clock.
going to try to strike out everybody?
Well,
You're going to wear the little
three
Molly
pitches.
shirt and the whole deal?
5 o'clock.
Are you
The
crazy?
wiffle ball's open in the back part of the parking lot. We'll start the
He's-
show at 6.
America, he's inviting you to come out and try to hit his little
Yeah.
this swerve ball he has.
And then the 1-inch punch at 8.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
If you're a paramedic, anybody that's a paramedic, please be there because if his heart stops
Yeah.
because of the 1 inch punch,
We're going to do that at the end of the show, Stacey,
Yeah, the end
after
of
we
the show.
finish the taping.
Yeah, we got to finish
America,
recording.
if you're on YouTube, look how fast this punch is. And it ain't even 1 inch. It's half an inch. Look how quick it is. He
Float
can hit-
like a butterfly, sting like
Look,
a bee.
look at them hands right there.
Stacey King
That's
story.
an incredible
Hey,
Hulk
those-
hand. Look at them fists.
Those hands can eat some chicken. Yeah,
Hey, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
The James King.
This is my dad's hand right there. That's my dad's hand right there. This is my hand. Oh my God.
I think we've done too much
I think we've done
damage
too
here.
much
Time
up
to
here.
bring down the curtain on this. Thank God it's Friday. Happy hour edition of Give Me the Hot Sauce. We want to thank the great Mark Price for joining us. We want to apologize for anyone we may have offended along the way. And next week, if you get the chance to come out to Gurnee, join us at Saluto's Italian Restaurant. We're starting at 6 o'clock on Thursday, July 15th. Until then, Stacey,
Drive home safely, Chicago. Beat fever.
Go McGregor.
1-inch punch.
Give me that hot sauce.